The rubber duck moved left. Julian's eyes followed. Valeria Santos froze, her heart hammering against her ribs. She was alone in the bathroom of a billionaire's mansion, holding a red toy in front of a child who was supposed to be blind. A child 18 months old who had never, according to every specialist, every report, every expensive doctor, seen anything in his entire life. She moved the duck right, his head turned, his pupils contracted in the natural light. Dios mío, she whispered, you can see me. In that moment, everything changed, because if Julian Cross could see, then the doctors lied. And if the doctors lied, then the $54,000 in medication his billionaire father had been paying for wasn't treatment. It was something else entirely. Valeria's hands shook as she pulled out her phone. She had buried her own daughter 2 years ago, knew what it felt like to trust doctors with everything you had. She knew what medical bills could do to a family. But this was different. This wasn't a tragedy. This was a crime. 20 feet away in his third-floor office, Nathan Cross sat surrounded by wealth that meant nothing, unaware that his minimum-wage maid had just discovered his son wasn't broken. He was being broken. Deliberately, systematically, by the very people he paid to heal him. Within 72 hours, that bathroom discovery would trigger an FBI investigation, expose a multi-million-dollar fraud ring, and reveal that Julian wasn't the only victim. 47 children, 6 states, all kept blind for profit. But right now, in this moment, it was just a maid, a boy, and a red rubber duck, and the horrifying truth that would bring an empire of lies crashing down. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's story, I want to ask you something. Have you ever trusted someone completely, only to discover they were lying to you the whole time? Maybe a doctor, a friend, a partner, someone you put your faith in? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one. Today's story is about betrayal at the highest level, where trust meets greed, and the people sworn to heal become the ones who harm. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, because we bring you the most shocking, emotional, and unbelievable true-to-life stories every single week. Stories that make you think, feel, and question everything. All right, let's get into it. This is the story of Nathan Cross, his son Julian, and the maid who risked everything to expose a truth that would shake the medical world to its core. They said his son would never see. Nathan Cross, tech billionaire, the man who built Crosstech's augmented reality empire, stood helpless as doctors delivered the verdict: complete, irreversible blindness. His 18-month-old son Julian would live in permanent darkness. 78,000 specialized medication, the best neurologist money could buy. And still, Julian sat motionless in his Italian crib, staring at nothing, trapped in a world without light. Nathan's wife, Rebecca, had left 6 months after the diagnosis. I can't watch him sit there. Empty, she'd said. It's killing me. The divorce was quick. Rebecca moved to New York. The mansion became a tomb. For 18 months, Nathan paid Dr. Lawrence Hendricks from a renowned private medical institute $20,500 per quarterly visit, paid $3,000 per vial for neurovision eye drops, administered twice daily by rotating nurses who documented everything with clinical detachment. Does he ever respond? Nathan had asked once. No, Mr. Cross, no response to stimuli, as expected with his condition. As expected. Those words haunted him. Nathan stopped going into Julian's nursery, couldn't bear seeing his son surrounded by toys he'd never play with, books he'd never see, a future stolen before it began. Then Margaret, his assistant, arranged an interview without asking. You need full-time care, Nathan. Someone who can be there overnight. At 2:07 p.m. on a Tuesday, Valeria Santos stood at his door. 32, dark hair pulled back, tired eyes that Nathan recognized because he saw the same exhaustion in his mirror every morning. The position is simple, Nathan said. Full-time care for my son. The nurses handle medical administration. I need someone present. Your son is blind, Valeria said quietly. Yes. How old? 18 months. Something flickered across her face. That must be very difficult. Nathan's jaw tightened. He didn't want sympathy. Can you do the job or not? I lost my daughter 2 years ago, Valeria said. Leukemia, she was 5. I understand what it means to care for a sick child. The words cracked something in Nathan's chest. I'm sorry. Me too, but I'm still here. Still trying. That's what we do, yes? Nathan hired her on the spot. 3 days later, Nathan was on a video call when he heard it. Laughter, soft, feminine, coming from Julian's nursery. He descended the stairs quietly. Valeria sat cross-legged on the floor, Julian in her lap, singing in Spanish. Afternoon sunlight streamed through open curtains. She'd violated protocol. Blackout curtains were supposed to stay closed, and Julian's head was tilted toward her voice. Nathan's breath caught. That wasn't possible. The doctor said. Valeria looked up, saw him watching. Their eyes met. In that moment, Nathan saw something in her expression that terrified him. She knew something. Mr. Cross, she said carefully, I think we need to talk. Tonight, after Julian sleeps. What's wrong? Should I call Dr. Hendricks? No, Valeria said sharply, then softer. No doctors. Not yet. Tonight, I promise. Nathan stood frozen, his world tilting. What had she seen? Valeria's alarm went off at 4:30 a.m. Sleep had become a stranger since Maria died. She stared at the water-stained ceiling of her studio apartment. The medical debt sat like a boulder on her chest, $247,000. Collection agencies called 15 times daily. But if she kept this job, maybe she could breathe again. Maybe she could visit Maria's grave without feeling like a failure. Nathan answered the door looking like he hadn't slept. Ms. Santos, this will get you through the service entrance. Julian wakes around 6:30. I'll be in my office if needed. He retreated immediately. Valeria found the nursery easily. She stopped at the threshold. The room was more medical facility than nursery. Monitors blinked. A specialized crib dominated the center. Pale gray walls, no pictures, no toys. Nothing suggesting a child lived here. And in the crib, Julian. Beautiful. Dark hair, café con leche skin, delicate features, but so still, eyes open, staring upward at nothing. Hola, mi amor, Valeria whispered, moving closer. I'm Valeria. I'm going to take care of you. Julian didn't react. She spent the morning learning routines. Bottle feeding, he drank mechanically. Diaper changes, no squirming. Bath time, blank acceptance. It was wrong, deeply wrong. Valeria had cared for dozens of children. Even the quietest showed some spark, preferences about food, touch, being held. Julian showed nothing. At noon, a severe nurse named Patricia arrived with a locked medical case. You'll need to leave. Treatment requires darkness and sterility. Valeria cracked the door, watching Patricia pull blackout shades. The room plunged into darkness except for red monitoring lights. Patricia withdrew a vial, neural vision, and administered drops. 3 per eye. Julian didn't blink, didn't cry, didn't react. 2 minutes later, Patricia administered a second dose. Then a third, 6 drops total. Patricia left without speaking. Valeria returned. Julian lay exactly as before, staring, empty, gone. She picked him up gently. What are they doing to you? At 3 o'clock, she carried him to the window. Sunlight painted golden squares across carpet. She sat in the light, adjusting Julian so sun warmed his face. His left eyelid twitched. Valeria froze. Had she imagined it? She shifted, angling Julian toward the sunbeam. There, again. Both eyelids flickering in response to brightness. Dios mío. She moved to shadow, the twitching stopped. Back to sunlight, it returned, subtle but unmistakable. His eyes were reacting to light. According to every medical document, that was impossible. But Valeria had just watched it happen. Her heart hammered. Maybe it meant nothing. Maybe just reflexive muscle movement. But then Julian's head turned, barely, toward her voice. That night, sitting in her car, Valeria gripped the steering wheel until her knuckles ached. She should mind her business. Getting involved in medical decisions was a spectacular way to get fired. But she kept seeing Maria's face. Those final months when Valeria had known the treatments were causing more harm than good. But she'd trusted the doctors. Maria had died in agony. If Valeria had questioned things earlier, she pulled out her phone and typed, Day 1, eyelid flutter in sunlight, head turned toward voice, neural vision administered, 3 drops per eye, twice daily, complete darkness. For 2 weeks she would watch, document everything, even if it cost her everything. Again, by day 5, patterns emerged that made Valeria's skin crawl. Julian was more responsive in mornings, before medication. Eyelids tracked toward light, head turned toward sounds. Once, when she dropped at a block, he startled. Normal infant behavior. After medication, he'd go slack. Tracking stopped. Responses disappeared. He'd retreat into vacant stillness. Valeria started taking videos between nurse visits. Toys moving, his eyes followed. Flashlight beams, pupils contracted. On day 8, she got breakthrough footage. In the upstairs bathroom with frosted window light, she held a red rubber duck 6 inches from Julian's face and moved it left to right. Julian's eyes locked onto it. Not vaguely, his eyes tracked with unmistakable intent. Right to left, following, up, down, precise tracking. Valeria's hands shook so badly she nearly dropped the phone. "You can see," she whispered. Tears burned her eyes. "You can see." Julian looked up at her face, right at her face, and almost smiled. That night, after confirming Nathan was absorbed in work, Valeria did something that could get her arrested. She photographed every medication vial in the locked cabinet. Patricia had gotten sloppy, occasionally leaving the case unattended. Valeria had memorized the code, 0614. Tonight she used it. Neural vision vials lined up in precise rows. Batch numbers, expiration dates, prescribing information. She photographed everything. Back in her apartment at midnight, Valeria opened her laptop and typed Neural Vision, sleek pharmaceutical website with promising language about breakthrough optical therapy. Looked legitimate. Then she tried Neural Vision lawsuit. The search results exploded. Reddit threads, legal forums, news articles from 2 years ago. Her screen filled with horror stories. Valeria's blood turned to ice. Neural Vision wasn't treatment. It was neurotoxin, a compound that temporarily suppressed optical nerve function. During trials, it induced temporary blindness, lasting 12 to 24 hours per dose. The FDA had rejected it after discovering falsified research. The drug caused permanent nerve damage in 30% of test subjects. Human trials were never approved. Hendrix Pharmaceutical, founded by Dr. Lawrence Hendrix's brother, was supposed to destroy all stock. Instead, they'd sold it. Through compassionate use programs, they'd marketed Neural Vision to desperate parents, claiming it prevented deterioration. They'd lied. Worse, some doctors had allegedly begun prescribing it to healthy children, creating blindness to justify expensive long-term treatment. Valeria found a class action lawsuit from 18 months ago. 43 families claimed unnecessary medication, deliberately suppressed vision, doctors collecting kickbacks, settled quietly, sealed records, NDAs. Families got money, doctors got temporary suspensions. No one stopped prescribing Neural Vision. Valeria scrolled through medical journals. Administered consistently, it kept children in perpetual blindness. Remove the medication, vision returned within 72 to 96 hours. 18 months of poison, twice daily. 18 months of Nathan paying thousands per vial to keep his son blind. She needed proof, not just videos. She needed to demonstrate causation, which meant stopping the medication herself. The next morning when Patricia arrived, Valeria intercepted her. "Mr. Cross wants to talk to you, something about updating Julian's care plan." Patricia frowned. "Treatment can't wait." He was very insistent. 5 minutes. "I'll prep Julian like usual." Patricia left. Valeria locked the nursery door and administered sterile saline from her pocket. 3 drops per eye, just like Patricia did. Julian blinked. Normal? Reflexive? When Patricia returned, irritated, Nathan hadn't requested anything. The room looked undisturbed. "All done," Valeria said innocently. She repeated the substitution that evening. By 24 hours without Neural Vision, Julian was different. Eyes tracked consistently. He reached for toys. When she sang, he cooed back. By 48 hours, he turned towards sounds, anticipating. By 72 hours, he was unmistakably, undeniably sighted. Valeria recorded everything. Birds outside windows. Her face as she moved, reaching for specific colored toys. She had proof. On the fourth morning, Valeria walked to Nathan's office. Fear paralyzed her as she raised her hand to knock. What if he didn't believe her, Mom? What if she got fired and Julian went back on medication? She thought about Maria, about trusting authority when she should have trusted instincts. She knocked. Come in. Nathan looked up from 3 monitors, surprised. Ms. Santos, is something wrong? No, Valeria said. Her voice came out stronger than expected. Nothing is wrong with Julian. That's the problem. She pulled out her phone. Mr. Cross, your son can see, and I can prove it. She pressed play. Julian tracking the yellow ball, eyes bright and focused. Julian following flashlight beams. Julian looking at the camera, right into his father's eyes, smiling. Nathan's face drained of color. He stood so abruptly his chair rolled backward. That's not possible, he whispered. It's not only possible, Valeria said steadily. It's been happening for 4 days, since I stopped the medication. You stopped without authorization? The treatment was poison, Mr. Cross. She pulled up research, FDA reports, lawsuits, whistleblower testimony. Neural vision isn't cure. Well, it's what's been keeping Julian blind. Dr. Hendricks and Dr. Chen have been deliberately suppressing his vision. For profit. She handed him the phone. Nathan stared, cycling through disbelief, confusion, horror, and finally, rage. They wouldn't, he said without conviction. His hands shook, scrolling through evidence. Hendricks is renowned. How much have you paid them? Nathan's jaw clenched. Over 200,000. And how many other families are they treating the same way? The question hung like a guillotine blade. Nathan looked up. I need to see him. Right now. They walked to the nursery together. Julian sat propped against pillows, playing with the red duck. Actually playing, manipulating it, examining it with clear visual interest. He looked up when they entered. His eyes locked onto Nathan's face. Recognition flickered. Julian cooed excitedly. Nathan crossed the room in 3 strides and dropped to his knees. He held up his phone's flashlight. Julian's pupils contracted in perfect, normal, healthy response. Oh God, Nathan whispered. Oh my God, you can see me. Julian reached out and patted Nathan's wet cheek. Dada, he said clearly. Nathan broke completely, pulling his son close and sobbing. 18 months of grief pouring out in gasping sounds. Valeria stepped back, giving them space. Mr. Cross, she said softly, we need to call authorities. Tonight, before they realize what we've discovered. Nathan looked up, his son cradled against his chest. Not police, the FB, and every lawyer I can find. He kissed Julian's forehead. They're going to pay, Nathan said quietly, for every lie, every stolen moment. He looked at Valeria with awe. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, she said. We have work to do. Outside, the sun set over the Pacific in crimson and gold. In the nursery, Julian laughed, reaching for the light. Nathan didn't sleep. At 11 p.m., he sat surrounded by printouts, FDA documents, lawsuit filings, pharmaceutical research. His Stanford and MIT education had taught him to evaluate data. The data was damning. Neural vision had never been approved. Clinical trials were fabricated. Researchers paid to falsify results. Test subjects who didn't exist. When FDA investigation revealed fraud, Hendricks Pharmaceutical was supposed to destroy all stock. Instead, compassionate use programs. Nathan calculated. $204,000 over 18 months. Dr. Hendricks billed $2,500 quarterly. Dr. Chen charged $1,800 for consultations. Over $300,000 total. Spent willingly, gratefully, thanking them for expertise. His phone buzzes. Valeria. Julian sleeping peacefully, eyes tracked mobile before he dozed. He's okay. Nathan's throat tightened. Julian was okay. He called Richard Torres, his attorney, at 1:47 a.m. This better be life or death. It is. My house in 2 hours. Bring everything you know about medical malpractice and pharmaceutical fraud. Nathan, they've been poisoning my son for 18 months. I'm going to destroy them. By 4 a.m. Nathan's dining room was a war room. Richard reviewed Valeria's videos with increasing horror. Nathan had also called Dr. Patricia Moss, an independent pediatric ophthalmologist. Dr. Moss arrived at 5 a.m., skeptical about emergency summons. Nathan showed her Julian sleeping, then played videos. These were taken over 4 days after stopping neural vision. Dr. Moss watched in silence, expression shifting from skepticism to shock. "May I examine him?" "Please." She conducted gentle examination while Julian dozed. Pupil response, visual tracking, focusing. When finished, her hands trembled. "This child has perfectly normal vision. Whatever condition he was diagnosed with is completely resolved, but neural vision wouldn't resolve optical dysfunction. It would suppress it. If he's seeing now, then he could always see," Nathan finished. "And they deliberately kept him blind." Dr. Moss went pale. "Do you have medication vials?" Nathan retrieved Patricia's medical case. Inside, 6 neural vision vials, administration logs documenting every dose. Dr. Moss examined them, then made a call. "Karen, Patricia Moss, I need emergency tox screen on a pharmaceutical. Yes, now." She photographed everything. "I'm reporting this to FDA and medical board immediately. This is criminal assault." "I want to confront them first," Nathan said quietly, "before authorities get involved. I want Hendricks to know I know." "That's terrible," Richard started. "I don't care. They stole 18 months. I want them to know before lawyers take over." At 8 a.m., Nathan called Dr. Hendricks. "Nathan, this is early. Is Julian all right? I need you and Dr. Chen at my house. Today, noon. Urgent." A pause about "Is Julian experiencing complications?" "You could say that. Noon. Don't be late." He hung up. Valeria arrived at 9, eyes red but spine straight. "You should take the day off. When they get here, things might get ugly." Valeria's chin lifted. "I discovered what they were doing. I'm staying." At noon, Dr. Hendricks and Dr. Chen arrived. Hendricks was tall, silver-haired, radiating authority. Chen was smaller, precise, designer suit impeccable. "Let's go to the nursery," Nathan said flatly. They climbed stairs in tense silence. Julian sat in his crib playing with blocks, stacking them, knocking them down, clearly using visual feedback. He looked up and smiled. "Dada," he said happily, reaching out. Hendricks's face went carefully blank. Chen stepped backward. "As you see," Nathan said conversationally, "Julian's blindness miraculously resolved. Funny, it happened exactly 4 days after my employees stopped neural vision." "That's not possible," Chen said weakly. "Bilateral optical dysfunction doesn't spontaneously—" "Cut the bullshit. We both know Julian never had dysfunction. He had you, poisoning him, twice daily, 18 months. Hendricks recovered composure. "Nathan, you're making serious accusations without medical basis. I have videos documenting visual tracking. I have medication vials. I have testimony from Dr. Patricia Moss confirming perfect vision. And I have FDA reports about neural vision being pulled for causing exact symptoms you claimed my son had naturally." Nathan stepped closer. "I have everything, Lawrence. Are you going to admit what you've done or watch the FBI drag you out in handcuffs?" Hendricks's mask cracked. Calculation flickered. "You have no idea what you're interfering with. This program funded critical research. By creating blind children, terrorizing parents, bankrupting families." Nathan's hands clenched. "How many, Lawrence? How many kids are you poisoning?" Silence. "How many?" 47 active cases, Chen said suddenly, staring at Julian. "Across 6 states, but Nathan, you have to understand, pharmaceutical industry requires enormous capital. Research we funded saved thousands." "Shut up." Nathan's voice was deadly. "Don't justify this. You destroyed my family. Made me believe my son was broken. Stole 18 months I can never get back." He turned to Richard. "Call the FBI." "Wait," Hendricks said, hands raised. "We can reach arrangement. I have substantial funds." "You think I want your money? I'm worth $2.3 billion. I don't need blood money. I need you in prison. For years. And every family you victimize will learn the truth." Hendricks's face hardened. "If you pursue this, you'll be tied up in litigation." "I'm not filing malpractice. I'm pursuing federal criminal charges, fraud, conspiracy, criminal assault of a minor. And I'm making sure every medical journal, every news outlet, every parent support group knows what you did. He showed them his phone, draft press release ready for 50 major media outlets. Your career is over. Your brother's company is finished. And those 47 children? Getting their vision back. Starting today. Dr. Moss stepped in, flanked by FBI agents. Dear Dr. Lawrence Hendricks, dear Barishar Chen, I'm Special Agent Morrison. You need to come with us regarding violations of federal drug safety laws and conspiracy to commit medical fraud. Hendricks's face went gray. Chen started crying. This is a mistake, Hendricks said as agents moved forward. Nathan, you're making terrible. No, the mistake was trusting you. That ends now. As they led doctors away, Valeria picked up Julian. He nestled against her shoulder, watching with curious, seeing eyes. It's over. Mi amor, she whispered. You're safe now. Nathan watched them, this woman who saved his son, this child who could finally see, and felt something break open. Not grief, hope. For the first time in 18 months, Nathan Cross allowed himself to hope. Within 72 hours, FBI agents raided Hendricks Pharmaceutical headquarters, Dr. Hendricks's clinic, and Dr. Chen's practice. They seized computers, medical records, financial documents. Nathan's forensic accountants discovered the full conspiracy, 47 children across 6 states, all diagnosed with optical disorders. Some legitimate, many fabricated, all prescribed neural vision at $3,000 per vial, twice daily. The kickback scheme, Hendricks Pharmaceutical paid prescribing physicians 20% of sales. Dr. Hendricks collected $380,000. Dr. Chen made $290,000. 14 other doctors implicated. Total profit, $2 in over 3 years. But human cost was incalculable. Nathan read FBI case files. 5-year-old in Portland, 2 years induced blindness, missed developmental milestones. Twin boys in Phoenix, parents divorced under stress. Teenage boy with legitimate partial vision loss, remaining sight deliberately suppressed. Families bankrupted, childhood stolen, lives shattered. For profit. The media storm was immediate. Nathan gave a press conference 3 days after arrests, standing with Julian in Valeria's arms. Footage of Julian tracking toys went viral within hours. My son was poisoned by doctors I trusted, by pharmaceutical companies prioritizing profit over life. He's not alone. 47 families are learning their children's blindness was manufactured, sold at premium prices. I'm calling for complete federal investigation and demanding criminal prosecution. Questions from reporters. Do you blame yourself? Yes, every day. But I also blame a medical system allowing doctors to operate with minimal oversight. What do you want for Dr. Hendricks? Prison for decades. How did your employee discover fraud when specialists missed it? Nathan looked at Valeria holding Julian because she paid attention, trusted her instincts over authority, was brave enough to risk everything for a child who wasn't even hers. Valeria Santos is a hero. Legal proceedings moved fast. Evidence was overwhelming. Financial records, emails discussing patient acquisition strategies, recorded calls where Marcus Hendricks discussed using children as long-term revenue sources. Dr. Hendricks tried claiming he'd believed medication was helpful. Emails where he wrote, "We need to maintain perception of permanence to ensure treatment compliance," destroyed that defense. Dr. Chen attempted cooperation, providing testimony against other physicians for reduced charges. Still faced 15 years. Other doctors scrambled for plea deals. 2 fled the country, apprehended at borders. 1 attempted suicide, faced charges from hospital bed. Marcus Hendricks proved most defiant, stood trial claiming his company provided hope. We operated within legal frameworks. Compassionate use programs exist precisely. Prosecution played recording of Marcus on investor call. Beauty of pediatric market is parents will pay anything. Anything. We're not selling medicine, we're selling hope. And hope is infinitely expensive. Jury deliberated 4 hours, guilty on all counts. Throughout trials, Nathan worked with FBI to locate all 47 families. Each notification was devastating. Nathan insisted on being present. He'd sit in living rooms across 6 states, watching parents' faces cycle through disbelief, rage, grief, finally hope as they learned their children could see. Seattle mother collapsed when Nathan showed Julian's videos. "You're telling me Sarah could have been seeing this whole time? She's 8. She learned Braille. We restructured everything. She's in special school." Her husband held her as she sobbed, their daughter still being administered neurovision. "Stop medication immediately," Nathan said. "Within 4 days, she'll show visual response." Moss is coordinating with ophthalmologists in every affected city. They'll examine her free and help manage transition. "Transition to what?" the father asked. "She doesn't know how to be seeing." Nathan thought about Julian running through the mansion, grabbing sunbeams, fascinated by colors. "She'll learn. Children always do, and you'll have resources, therapy, educational support, whatever she needs. I'm establishing a foundation. You won't face this alone." By the time all families were notified, Nathan had spent $6 million on legal fees, consultations, and family support. He didn't care. Money was meaningless compared to videos parents sent. Children seeing first sunsets, recognizing parents' faces, crying with joy at bedroom colors. Each video made 18 months hurt a little less. Valeria was present for many notifications, using her experience to help parents navigate emotional chaos. "How do you forgive yourself?" one father asked during support group Nathan organized. "How do you live with knowing you let this happen?" Valeria's eyes filled with tears. "You don't forgive yourself. Not completely. You learn to live with it. Channel guilt into action. Make sure it never happens to another child." She paused. "And remember, you did what you thought was right. Trusted experts. You can't blame yourself for other people's evil." Nathan watched from across the room. In 6 months since exposing conspiracy, Valeria had become far more than Julian's caretaker. She was his advocate, researcher, moral compass. She was family. Sentencing hearings packed with affected families. Nathan attended every one, Julian on his lap. He wanted judges to see what doctors stole, not abstract victims, but real children with bright eyes and boundless futures. Dr. Lawrence Hendricks, 23 years federal prison. Dr. Sarah Chen, 18 years. Marcus Hendricks, 30 years plus $15 million fines. Other doctors, 8 to 20 years. None felt like enough. Leaving final sentencing, a reporter called, "Mr. Cross, do you feel justice has been served?" Nathan looked at Julian watching pigeons on courthouse steps. "My son can see. 47 children are getting lives back. Doctors who harm them are in prison. Is that justice? I don't know, but it's a start." That night, Nathan stood in Julian's nursery, now painted bright blues and yellows, filled with toys and books and color. His son slept peacefully, nightlight casting gentle shadows. Julian's eyes moved beneath closed lids, dreaming, seeing, even in sleep. Nathan touched his hand gently. "I'm sorry I didn't protect you sooner, but I promise I will spend my life making sure no other child suffers what you did." Julian stirred, gripping Nathan's finger. In the doorway, Valeria watched silently. "He knows you love him," she said softly. "That's what matters now. I owe you everything, Valeria. You saved my son. You saved me. I just paid attention. No, you were brave when I was blind, questioned authority when I was paralyzed, risked everything for a child you had known days." His voice thickened. "I don't know how to repay that." Valeria smiled sadly. "You don't need to. Just be his father. Really be his father. That's enough." But Nathan was already planning. The foundation would be just the beginning. 6 months later, Nathan stood backstage at the National Medical Ethics Conference in Chicago. Julian was with Valeria in the front row, playing with colored blocks. Every few seconds, Julian held up a block for Valeria to see, and she'd name the color in Spanish. He'd started speaking in full sentences last month. Favorite phrase, "Mira, Valeria." "Look, Valeria." Every discovery demanded her attention, her shared joy. Nathan watched them and felt his throat tighten. Valeria wasn't the maid anymore. She was Julian's mother in every way that mattered. "Mr. Cross, you're on in 2 minutes." Nathan nodded and stepped towards stage entrance. The auditorium was packed. Over 2,000 physicians, ethicists, students, administrators. They'd come to hear the man whose case sparked national reckoning about medical oversight. The introduction washed over him. Exposed disturbing medical fraud, 47 children, systematic abuse. Please welcome Nathan Cross. Applause filled the auditorium as Nathan walked on stage. Thank you. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical ethicist. I'm just a father who failed his son for 18 months because I trusted the wrong people. The room went silent. My son Julian was diagnosed with bilateral optical nerve dysfunction at birth. I hired finest specialists, paid for cutting-edge treatments, did everything a good parent should, and all of it, every appointment, every medication, every dollar, was a lie. Julian wasn't blind, he was being blinded, systematically, for profit. Nathan detailed the conspiracy, falsified diagnoses, neurotoxin disguised as treatment, kickback schemes. He showed slides of financial records, emails, 47 children's photos. These are faces of medical fraud, just the ones we know about. How many compassionate use programs operate with minimal oversight? How many pharmaceutical companies exploit desperate families? How many doctors prioritize profit over patients? He paused. And how many children are being harmed while we assume the system works? Discomfort rippled through the room. I'm not here to condemn medicine. I'm here because medicine saved my son. Just not how I expected. It wasn't a specialist or prestigious hospital. It was a woman with high school education who cleaned my house for minimum wage. He gestured toward Valeria. Valeria Santos noticed what trained physicians missed, questioned what I accepted, documented what everyone ignored, risked her job, her only income, to save a child who wasn't her responsibility. Valeria's eyes were wet. Julian nestled against her. This woman lost her daughter to leukemia 2 years ago. Medical debt crushed her. She was desperate for work. She had every reason to keep her head down. But when she saw my son suffering, she didn't think about herself. She thought about him. Nathan played videos, Julian tracking the duck, responding to light, smiling at camera. The audience watched in stunned silence. Within 4 days of stopping neurotoxin, my son could see. 4 days. And I realized the most dangerous medical condition isn't cancer or heart disease. It's unchecked authority. The assumption that expertise equals integrity. A system allowing harm to hide behind credentials. He clicked to next slide, new organization logo. That's why I'm announcing the Valeria Santos Foundation for Medical Transparency, endowed with $50 million. Our mission? Empower patients and families to question, document, and report medical treatment. We'll provide resources for second opinions, fund independent research into compassionate use programs, create whistleblower protections for healthcare workers exposing fraud. The audience erupted in applause. This foundation exists because one woman was brave enough to say something is wrong. I want to create a world where that bravery is standard, not exceptional. Where families feel empowered to challenge doctors when treatment doesn't make sense. Where oversight prevents abuse before it destroys lives. He looked at Valeria. And I want to honor the woman who taught me that sometimes the most qualified person isn't the one with most degrees. It's the one who actually cares. Valeria was crying openly, Julian patting her cheeks. No cry, Valeria, he said loudly. Happy now. Laughter rippled through the audience. Nathan smiled. My son is right. We should be happy. 47 children are seeing, 13 doctors are in prison. FDA implemented new oversight for compassionate use programs. He paused. But I can't get back 18 months Julian spent in darkness. I can't undo trauma or restore missed milestones. I can't give back stolen childhoods. His hands gripped the podium. What I can do is make sure it never happens again. Every dollar of that $50 million will fund prevention, education, accountability. We'll create treatment documentation apps, train patient advocates, establish independent medical review boards, whatever it takes to protect families from predatory medicine. Standing ovation was immediate. Nathan barely registered it. He was watching Julian, who'd climbed down and toddled toward stage. Dada, Julian called, arms outstretched. Up! Nathan knelt and lifted his son. Julian grabbed his face with both hands. See you, Dada, Julian said solemnly. I see you. I see you too, buddy. Valeria joined them on stage and Julian immediately reached for her. "Mama," he said clearly. The word hit Nathan like lightning. "Mama." He looked at her, saw panic flash. She thought she'd overstepped. "I'm sorry, I didn't teach him that." "Don't apologize. He's right. You are his mama. In every way that matters." Tears spilled down Valeria's cheeks. "Mr. Cross." "Nathan, please. We're family, Valeria. You, me, Julian. Family. Not because of blood, but because you fought for him when no one else would. Because you love him." He paused. "And because we need you. Both of us. Not as employee, as his mother. As my partner in making sure this never happens to another family." Valeria looked at Julian, watching her with his father's seeing eyes, bright and aware. "Mama," he said again, patting her face. "My mama." "Yes, mi amor," Valeria whispered. "I'm your mama." The audience was still applauding, but Nathan barely heard it. He stood on stage with his son and the woman who'd saved him, and for the first time since Julian's birth, he felt complete. Not fixed, the scars of those 18 months would never fully heal, but whole in a way he hadn't imagined possible. 3 months later, the legal paperwork was finalized. Valeria Santos officially adopted Julian Cross as his legal mother. Nathan had pushed for it. Valeria had resisted. She didn't want to replace Rebecca, didn't want to presume. But Rebecca had signed away parental rights months ago, unable to face the guilt. And Julian knew exactly who his mother was. The adoption ceremony was small, just the three of them, Richard Torres as witness, and Judge Patricia Moss, who'd followed the case from the beginning. "This is unusual," the judge said, smiling. "Single father and unrelated woman co-adopting. But given the circumstances, I can't think of a more deserving family." She signed the papers. "Congratulations, Mr. Santos. You're officially Julian's mother." Julian, now 2.5, clapped his hands. "My mama," he announced proudly. They celebrated at the mansion, which no longer felt like a mausoleum. Valeria had filled it with color and life. Photos on every wall, toys scattered across rooms, children's books overflowing from shelves. The infinity pool reflected not emptiness, but the laughter of a toddler who loved splashing. That evening, after Julian was asleep, Nathan found Valeria on the terrace overlooking the Pacific. "Are you okay?" Nathan asked softly. She smiled, but her eyes were distant. "I keep thinking about Maria, wondering what she'd think of all this. Me, adopting another child, building a new family." Nathan moved beside her. "She'd be proud of you." "Would she?" Valeria's voice broke. "I couldn't save her, Nathan. I tried everything, every treatment, every prayer, every desperate bargain, and I still lost her. But you saved Julian. You gave him the life Maria didn't get to have. That's not replacing her. That's honoring her memory." Valeria wiped her eyes. "The foundation, I want to add something. The Maria Santos Medical Advocacy Program for families dealing with pediatric illness. So they don't feel alone the way I did." Nathan nodded. "We'll make it happen, whatever you need." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the sun set. Inside, Julian stirred in his sleep, dreaming in color. "Thank you," Valeria said finally, "for trusting me, for letting me be part of this. Thank you for teaching me what it means to truly see, not just with eyes, but with heart." The Valeria Santos Foundation launched officially 6 months later. The response was overwhelming. Hundreds of families reaching out, sharing stories of questionable treatments, asking for help. The foundation offered free second opinions, independent medical reviews, and patient advocacy training. They created a smartphone app allowing families to document treatment protocols and flag concerns. They established a whistleblowers hotline for healthcare workers who suspected fraud. Within a year, the foundation identified 12 additional cases of pharmaceutical abuse, none as severe as neural vision, but each representing families being exploited. Nathan and Valeria became unlikely advocates, testifying before Congress about medical oversight reform, speaking at conferences, writing op-eds about patient empowerment. And through it all, Julian thrived. He started preschool, made friends, learned to read. He showed no lasting effects from 18 months of induced blindness. Children's brains were remarkably plastic, his doctors marveled. On Julian's fourth birthday, the family held a party in the mansion's garden. 40 of Julian's friends attended, children from preschool and foundation families. The lawn was chaos, children running, laughing, seeing. Nathan watched Sarah from Seattle chase Julian around the garden, both squealing with delight. Her parents stood nearby, arms around each other, faces peaceful. "You did this," Valeria said, appearing at Nathan's elbow. "You gave these families their lives back." "We did this," Nathan corrected. "You, me, Julian, we're a team." Julian ran over, breathless and grinning. "Dada, Mama, come play. We're doing tag." They joined the chaos, chasing children through the garden, collapsing in laughter when small bodies piled on top of them. The sun was warm, the ocean breeze perfect, the sound of children's laughter, the most beautiful music Nathan had ever heard. Later, as the party wound down and Julian dozed in Valeria's lap, Nathan's phone buzzed with an email. "Just received word, FDA implementing mandatory independent review for all compassionate use programs, effective immediately, citing the Cross case as justification." "We did it." Nathan showed Valeria. She read it, tears streaming down her face. 18 months of darkness, she whispered. "But look at what came from it. Look at all the light." Nathan pulled her close, Julian sleeping between them. His family, his purpose, his redemption. "Some families aren't born," he said softly. "Some are forged in fire, built from tragedy. Stronger because they had to fight to exist. And some," Valeria added, kissing Julian's forehead, "are discovered in the wreckage of lies when one person is brave enough to see the truth." They sat together as the sun set, 3 souls bound not by blood, but by something more powerful. The choice to love, to fight, to see each other clearly. Julian stirred, eyes fluttering open. He looked at Nathan, then at Valeria, then smiled, that perfect, seeing smile that would never get old. "Love you, Dada. Love you, Mama," he murmured, drifting back to sleep. "Love you too, buddy," Nathan whispered. "Forever." And in that moment, watching his son sleep in the arms of the woman who'd saved them both, Nathan Cross finally understood. Vision wasn't just about eyes. It was about seeing what mattered, protecting what you loved, and never being afraid to question the darkness. Because sometimes salvation came not from the powerful or the educated, but from the brave, from the ones willing to pay attention when everyone else looked away, from people like Valeria Santos, who proved that the most important qualification for changing the world wasn't a medical degree. It was simply giving a damn. The end.